You touch down in Da Nang and the air feels like warm tea, humid, fragrant, always moving. The terminal doors slide open and the soundtrack of scooters pours in, a thin metallic buzz that somehow sounds friendly rather than frantic. B-roll picks up small gestures that feel like invitations, a vendor balancing baguettes on a bicycle rack, an airport guard laughing into his radio, a child pointing at a jet as if it were a dragon. Outside, the taxi merges onto smooth, surprisingly wide roads. Glass towers blink, then vanish behind tamarind trees, and the river flashes silver between buildings like a quick grin. Welcome to Da Nang, Vietnam's hinge between mountains and sea. This trip isn't a checklist. It's a collage. We'll let the city drift toward us and see what sticks. Random cutaways support the line, a neon pharmacy sign twinkling in daylight, a barber fanning a customer with a comic book, a woman counting lottery tickets, rain gathering in potholes like quick mirrors. The taxi rolls past the Dragon Bridge. It doesn't breathe fire yet, but even idle, the golden body looks alive, coiled across the Han like a taut thread between 2 pages. Check-in happens at real-life speed, paperwork, a smile, a keycard that works on the second try. The room isn't fancy, but it's bright. On the balcony, the river winks back as if acknowledging a new watcher. You leave the bag in a corner. Keep the camera rolling, and walk. Street-level Da Nang is rhythm, not rush. A cafe hums with low stools and tin cups, condensed milk pools like satin at the bottom of glasses. Someone pulls an espresso shot right next to a fin filter, old and new pour side by side without arguing. Crossing a side street becomes choreography. You commit, walk at a steady pace, and the scooters flow around you like water finding its path. Vendors call softly. A tailor lifts a bolt of fabric that turns the sidewalk into a flag. A school bell rings, helmets bloom on small heads, parents become a tide. You buy a paper cone of jackfruit, film its honeycomb geometry, then realize you've eaten half without noticing. A man selling sugarcane juice spins the press with an actor's flourish and fills a bag with a straw. The sweet green cuts through the heat like a soft bell. By late afternoon, the riverbanks collect joggers, couples, and kids with bubble wands that create small planets between lampposts. You try one inevitably and capture a bubble swallowing the dragon for a second before it pops. The shot is silly and perfect. It says you're here to play as much as to document. The sun slides down and blue becomes peach. Boats on the Han string fairy lights, the city glows from within like a lantern more than a spotlight. Downriver, a dinner cruise thumps bass, upriver, a fisherman hums and ignores it. You end the first evening on a rooftop, ocean to the east, mountains to the north, the river drawing a calm exhale through the middle. Title card, Da Nang, where the city doesn't shout to be heard. Warning folds open gently. A short ride south and the skyline breaks into 5 limestone mounds, the Marble Mountains, named for the elements. From the base they look modest, almost polite. Then you climb, and the mountain reveals its inside voice. Steps are uneven, edges softened by centuries of feet. Each landing opens onto a pocket of quiet, a pagoda tucked behind banyan roots, a monk sweeping leaves in patient circles, a gecko blinking like a tiny metronome on the wall. Bells ring from somewhere you can't see, incense writes cursive in the air. Pilgrims, tourists, locals, everyone climbs for a different reason, but we all slow down the same way. Inside a cavern, sunlight breaks through a ceiling scar and paints a moving halo on stone. Your camera drinks it in, smoke, light, prayer beads clacking, a child whispering because everyone else is. Statues where the green of time, water drips in careful intervals, the mountain has its own heartbeat. You keep the lens steady, no flashy moves, so the place can do the talking. At the top, Da Nang unfurls like a scroll on a desk, city, river, ocean, all arranged with tidy confidence. The Dragon Bridge becomes a golden stitch, Sun Tra Peninsula sits cloud-pinned and watchful to the north. You record a slow pan and then zoom into details, a coin balanced in a crevice, a wax puddle collapsed into a lotus shape, a tiny lizard ceremoniously occupying a sun patch as if it paid rent. A vendor sells marble turtles that stay cool even in heat. You buy nothing, take a smile, and pass it along to the next person in line. On the descent, you detour into Am Phu Hell Cave, where Buddhist morality is staged in theatrical stone. Demons grimace with operatic commitment, the air dips 10 degrees, light becomes a rumor. It's folklore as public service announcement, spooky but oddly gentle. Emerging into noon feels like being unwrapped. The first coconut of the day tastes like a small victory, the straw squeaks against ice and you laugh because the sound is unexpectedly loud. Cutaways, breakers combing a pale beach, surfers dotted along a lineup like punctuation, fishing coracles pulled ashore like overturned bowls. A carver taps a chisel along the spine of a marble carp and doesn't look up when you film. The mountain teaches focus that ignores cameras. Voiceover, between stone and sky, the city remembers to breathe. Back at the base, you wash dust from your hands at a basin and the water runs milky for a second before it clears, like a miniature weather system finishing a storm. As you leave, a bus door sighs open and a fresh wave of visitors steps into the shade, voices softening as the mountain lowers theirs. You tuck the ticket stub into your notebook. It smells faintly of incense and limestone, which feels exactly right. Before the sun clocks in, My Khe Beach is already awake. The shore is a public living room where every conversation points at the horizon. Your feet find the coldest sand near the waterline, the camera settles into the half-light, long swimmers slicing parallel to shore, teenagers sprinting then laughing at nothing in particular, an old man sketching characters in sand only to let the tide edit them away. A coracle bumps up and three men lift a net heavy with quicksilver punctuation, anchovies that glitter like moving commas. People say Da Nang is calm. Maybe calm isn't an absence of noise. Maybe it's a rhythm that includes you. A woman sells banh mi with omelette so fresh the steam fogs your lens. Someone plays a portable radio, the melody is syrupy and perfect, soft enough to blend with rhythm waves. The sun arrives politely, not as a blaze but as a gradual agreement, and the water turns from iron to milk to blue. You film feet, foam, feet again, repetition that becomes meditation. Later, the day assembles its props, umbrellas, sunscreen, volleyball nets. But the morning belongs to locals, doctors doing laps before clinic hours, grandmothers walking backward for balance, kids burying each other's ankles and squealing as waves unbury them. You collect small economies of care on camera, a friend tying another's hat string, strangers handing each other towels like teammates. A lifeguard crouching eye level to reassure a nervous child. It's ordinary, which is why it matters. You rent a board and pretend you remember how to surf. You don't, you fall, it's fine. A teenager gestures where the break is kinder, and for 3 attempts you are almost a rumor of success. The video owns the wipeouts, joy looks better with salt on it. Afterward, coffee. The cafe uses fin filters that drip like patient clocks, condensed milk turns each sip into a small dessert. A waitress points toward Sun Tra and says the Lady Buddha keeps storms away. You nod as if you've met her. Evening is when Da Nang tastes most like itself. The market wakes in layers, first the sizzle of oil, then the chorus of ladles, then the polite percussion of chopsticks. You start with mi quan because the city insists. Turmeric-tinted noodles lounge under a shallow, fragrant broth, pork, shrimp, quail egg, crushed peanuts, and a confetti of herbs assemble like an orchestra tuning. A crisp rice cracker stands guard on top. Steam fogs your glasses, you misfocus, laugh, refocus, leave the mistake in the edit as proof that food wins over cinematography. Sometimes, every dish here is a conversation between texture and temperature, between patience and flame. Cutaways, mint, basil. Fish sauce, chili jam, lime have shining like tiny moons. A woman folds bon zio so thin it's mostly lace, then snaps a corner to prove the crunch. You wrap slices in rice paper with herbs and dip. The sauce is sweet, then slyly sour, then a corner of heat that doesn't shout. A small boy watches you eat with a supervisor's seriousness and nods when you do it correctly. You detour for bun chaka fishcake noodles with dill, tomato, and a broth that tastes like someone concentrated the sea and then remembered kindness. At the next stall, walalat beef wrapped in wild beetle leaves smokes itself under a desk fan and comes off the grill tasting like a forest picnic. The camera loves repetition, bowls in rows, hands in motion, stools scraping pavement, coins chiming into plastic trays. People talk softly, laughter stacks, the lane becomes a warm pocket stitched into the city's jacket. A vendor slides you a tiny plate of pickled young papaya that resets the palate like a seam cut. Another sells bon bio and saucers, pale moons topped with shrimp dust and crunchy bits, eaten with spoons shaped like petals. You learn the rhythm, drizzle, scoop, tilt, grin. Somewhere in the background, a pressure cooker hisses like a cymbal. The light from a single fluorescent tube makes steam look theatrical, which is the only kind of drama food needs. Dessert is just layers of beans, jelly, coconut milk, and crushed ice architecture you eat with a spoon. A teenager recommends avocado coffee. It sounds like a dare but drinks like velvet. You pay less than a postcard for dinner and feel rich in all the right currencies: time, warmth, flavor. Friends you met on the beach wave from 2 tables over. You raise a spoon like a toast and the camera catches a moment that isn't about food at all but about belonging. If memory had a flavor, tonight would be herbs on cold hands and heat rising from walks. Walking out, you film the lane once more for the way light sticks to steam and laughter. A scooter starts, a dog barks once like punctuation, and a neon sign hums its single note. Everything ordinary, everything perfect. The road to Sun Tra Peninsula climbs in thoughtful curves. City sound thins, cicadas take over, and the ocean keeps winking through gaps in the foliage. You pull into a turnout where the light is kind and watch macaques performing domestic dramas in the canopy, a baby testing gravity, an ant scolding, a teenager inventing parkour. You keep your distance and zoom rather than approach. The rule is respect first, footage second. Higher up, Linong Pagoda appears like a pause, white, balanced, listening to wind more than visitors. From here, Da Nang looks less like a grid and more like a gradient, of blue to greener blue, of noise to birdsong. The Lady Buddha rises serene and improbable, facing the sea with the patience of stone. Locals say she guards fishermen in calm storms, even skeptics stand quieter at her feet. Your camera drifts, lotus lamps, tiled dragons, bare feet on cool marble, prayer flags auditioning for the breeze. The wind smells like pine and salt, and for a long minute the recording is just air moving through leaves. You fly the drone carefully, no wildlife, no worshippers, just a slow peel back to show how city, river, mountain, and sea hold each other in a gentle square knot. The frame looks like a postcard someone forgot to write on. Back on the ground, a monk offers tea and a smile that lands like punctuation, gentle, definitive. The day begins to exhale. Fishermen below thread the horizon with lights. The dragon bridge downriver reheats itself for night routine. The river becomes a mirror that edits the city kindly. Packing scenes are honest, cables pretending to tangle themselves, a last laundry clip on the balcony, shoes freckled with beach salt. Voiceover: travel doesn't fix a life, it tunes it. Sometimes all you need is a different frequency. You take one more lap along the Han. Couples lean on rails, kids hawk balloons shaped like planets, a busker covers a love song you don't know but might keep anyway. The dragon breathes fire tonight, real. Flames arcing into applause, and the crowd answers with phones held like lanterns. Riverboats scattering sequins across black water, a cyclist ringing a bell twice like a friendly door, a street dog choosing the warmest tile outside a bakery. You hear your suitcase wheels click over a crack in the pavement and realize the rhythm has synchronized with your steps. Voiceover: closing line: Da Nang doesn't compete to be loud. It competes to be clear, and that's why it lingers. Fade on water, then black. Credits roll over a lingering guitar and the soft metronome of waves.
If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe.